YouTubers, Mike Martin's here, Mike Martin's channel. I got a really good doozy of an article I want to read to you guys. It's from our friends over at Better Dwelling. I love Better Dwelling because Better Dwelling goes against, or not really against the establishment, but it kind of paints the picture to make sense on what's actually going on around us. So let's go with this article here. It's really good. Canadian interest rates were raised on junk employment. So for those of you that remember, everyone's getting an interest rate hike because you gotta fix this economy, because our economy is based on housing and student loans and unsecured debt and secured debt. So let's read. Canadian real estate prices are very closely related to employment numbers. They don't just impact potential buying pools, they also strongly influence interest rates. However, what happens if we were bullish on the job numbers? That's a really good question. I never asked that before. And we're reading them wrong. Most wealth managers and fund researchers don't rely on the employment numbers most of you receive. The numbers the media parades are less useful in finance, especially when determining a short-term outlook. Here's how the real job numbers and get a better picture of how the economy is evolving. Things you need to understand. There are a couple of things you'll need to know today. Seasonal adjustment and how job numbers are born. Okay. So that's very important, guys. This is like farming. That's how, I'm not talking about literal farms. Never mind. First, seasonal adjustments are a statistical method for removing seasonal bias from the time-based series of data. It's a method that was developed 7 years ago to compensate for the change in weather-related employment, like construction. Of course, because you can't work in the winter 1 year, obviously, or you can't cut grass, landscaping in the winter, right? So in 2018, there isn't all that many jobs that cease to exist for the whole winter. Okay, this is really weird because it's kind of reading my mind here. But anyways, now don't get me wrong. Seasonally adjusted data makes charts easier to read. However, it's not an accurate report when reporting on a single month's data point. The Wall Street Journal, Daniel Quinn Mills, pointed out the issue with this couple of years ago. The issue represents that the policy decisions are now made much more rapidly than they would have been half a century ago. A couple of seasonally adjusted reports are all people need to make policy changes. That can give a huge consequence when using seasonal adjusted data. The second thing you need to know is how numbers are created at Statistics Canada, aka Stats Can. So just because Stats Canada posts something, it doesn't mean it's real. Okay, Stats Canada posts something, that means it's got to be real. Anyways, let's keep going. So the second you need to know is Stats Canada. They use a survey of 55,000 people and project that for the population. It's fairly large sample, and they're pros at getting the distribution right. However, using 55,000 people to get information about the population of over 36 million people does have its problems. This will also be clear when we compare them to ADP's numbers. So remember, guys, this whole job increase thing last year, they were talking about this. You heard that jobs increased 79,000. Well, that's impressive, eh? Let's go through the jobs reported in December from StatsCan, which is the bullish report most of you heard. StatsCan reported seasonal adjusted increase of 79,000 jobs in December. This brings their estimate of a total number of employed individuals to 18,648,000. Unemployment also declined 0.2%, down from 5.7%. It's really a really good report, but it spread confidence through the economy. It also influenced the Bank of Canada's decision to raise interest rates. But there's the thing. So this is the sweet spot right here, or the punchline, or whatever you want to call it. Unadjusted Canada lost 6,700 jobs in December. Using the unadjusted data gives a quicker read of on the economy. Unadjusted Canada lost 6,700 jobs in December. This means that there were actually 6,700 less people working that month. That brings the unadjusted estimate to a total of employment of 18,560,400. Employment to 18,560,400. That's a total of 87,600 less working than the adjusted data. These losses might eventually show in seasonal adjusted data, but it would soften and delayed. It would be softened and delayed. Sorry, guys, because it's coming back from behind, right? So these numbers are always, if you think of it like the ocean and how waves come in, I wouldn't even trust any of this. I trust Better Dwelling, but I don't even trust what they tell us. You know what I'm saying? So don't be surprised when you get a soft job report in March. What have I been telling you guys about Q1? April 1st is going to be the deadline of everything. April 1st is D-Day or Apocalypse Day or the day of the apocalypse for the housing market. So I'm going to probably make a video about that because it sounds catchy. A little clickbait video, you know what I'm saying? Monthly change, Canadian and employment numbers. So there it is there. Jobs. So there it is per month. There's unadjusted. Wow. So they're really not... so they're not really putting these numbers through properly. They both add up to a positive employment change, but seasonal adjusted data is 87,900 jobs higher. Think of it this way. Would overshooting your income by 18% be okay? Probably not. So this one here talks about job numbers versus StatsCan. Back to that survey versus larger samples set of data ADP, the payroll behemoth operates payrolls for over 2.2 million Canadians. This makes them prime candidate for giving job numbers, which is great because they do publish their own job reports. Non-finance folks just don't use them. In addition to having a larger data set, they also have hard data, not a survey-based approach like StatsCan. These reports have larger sample set and less chance of human error. There's a reason for these numbers are more popular with people that understand the economy. So if you look at total StatsCan employment, it kind of gives you it right there. So that's ADP. Okay, ADP stands for, it's the payroll behemoth. So this is what ADP is putting out as numbers here. 15 million, 16 million. And then here's what StatsCan is saying. That's half the country unemployed if you look at it. If you actually look at this from here to here, and there's, 36 million people they said? And there's 16. That's 10 million people unemployed if you actually look at what ADP is putting out. I would believe the payroll, obviously the payroll, but not everyone's on payroll, right? Some people are getting cash money. Anyways, Canada lost over 7,000 jobs according to ADP. So it goes back and ties into the beginning of the article. ADP's job numbers are even worse for December. Canada lost 7,088 jobs, slightly more than StatsCan adjusted numbers. This brings total ADP estimate to 16,094,000 employed Canadians, about 13% lower than StatsCan's number. We have a pretty good reason to believe that the numbers we base our policies on are overly optimistic. Of course they are. There's nothing wrong with using seasonal adjustment numbers. They're easier to use when reading long-term trends. When looking for month-to-month updates, however, it doesn't tell you what you're looking for. If you lost 6,700 jobs in December, does it make us feel better if the seasonally adjusted number is 79,000 higher? Probably not. The fact of the number is that less people were working in December, but don't let that ruin a good old-fashioned interest rate hike. It means that the economy is more vulnerable to the impact of the rise of interest rates. So there it is, Better Dwelling. Why is there a gap in over 2 million between steps? So there's some people commenting here. So there's one right here. There's one right here. Da, 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 da. Where'd that one go? I love this guy. Another better dwelling conspiracy. I think the government knows what they're doing. Really? If job numbers were off, they would have no reason to misreport them. Sometimes a cigar is just a wow. We give that guy $50 for putting that up. I mean, anyways, guys, yeah, I want to know what you guys think about this. I told you Q1's going to be D-Day or Apocalypse Day or the end of the world, or it's going to be first week of April after Q1 goes through. I really hope Better Dwelling puts up a Q1 article. I really want to know where things are at. The thing is, you're going to have a lot of real estate agency companies massaging the numbers to make people feel, people are living in this mass delusionalist. They're thinking that it's just a trend, it's going to go back up. It's just like any other stock. It is just like any other stock because housing became a commodity and not an investment like it should be. But yeah. Anyways, it's going to take a while for I think it's going to be a bumpy ride ahead because markets, like I said this before and I'll say it again, markets crash overnight, but economies take longer to destroy or to fall apart. Because the housing market is so dependent on, our economy is so dependent on our housing market and student loans and all that stuff, it's going to take a while for it to come to terms with raising rates and all that other stuff. And the capital outflow of China pretty much at zero now. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough 2018. It's an exciting time to be alive, to witness what's happening. I want to know what you guys think, guys. Comment below and let me know. Thank you.